Good morning, everybody. It's Thursday, January 30th. I'm Jane Johnston with the Briar Hill Group at RE/MAX Camosun. Welcome to the Victoria Real Estate Show with...
Oh, hey, everybody. Andrew Plank here with LePage. Good to see you.
He does that on purpose. And...
Jen Lowe, mortgage broker with DLC Modern Mortgage Group.
How are
what do I do on purpose?
You have a good sense of timing, comedic timing. So, where are you, Andrew?
I'm up in Smithers. I'm in a log cabin in the woods, and we're here for the weekend for a celebration of life. And yeah, but yeah, so here we are, and I found myself a little corner to do the show from. So.
Looks like you're in an attic.
I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not. I'm not going to give you. Well, I'll look out the window.
Oh, snow.
Oh boy.
So, anyway.
Very privileged to live in Victoria. How are you doing, Jen? How are things going?
Yes, it was snowing vigorously last night. It was beautiful. Now it's just a nice crisp morning.
You can't beat that cup of hot chocolates and cabin in the woods.
How are you doing, Jen?
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing good.
Yeah.
It's been an interesting week and a half, 2 weeks.
And how is that? What does that mean?
Well, just with everything that's every day. I mean, if you turn on the news, there's something new and exciting that's happening down in the U.S. and how that affects us.
Right.
So it's been busy.
Right.
Well, we're going to talk a bit about that today. First of all, we're just going to go through the stats and just see what the action has been on the market. This is live this week. So just remember, if you have somebody who's interested in real estate, either thinking of buying or selling, you might want to share this with them. Don't forget to like this here and on our YouTube channels and subscribe if you want to follow us for more information. And of course, we always love your comments. So please give us a comment. We love to hear what you have to say. And of course, tell everybody about us. Okay. Andrew.
So, yes. So what we have here is the last week's stats. And when we're looking from January 30th, which is today, back 1 week, we had 240 new listings went live on the Victoria Real Estate MLS. We had 129 properties go pending out of the pool of all the listings. 63 properties decreased in price, 1 increase in price, 4 back on market, 145 transactions at the lawyers, 34 properties expired, and 2 were with. Compare that to the week before. And we definitely had more new listings in the week prior, 300 compared to 240. But we had less pendings. We only had 103 properties going pending versus 129. So looks like the number of listings has slowed down a little bit, which surprises me, but the number of pendings have gone up. Price decreases are around the same. Any comments on what you're seeing here, guys?
To me, it feels like February, not January already. Just feels busy.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys think?
Oh yeah, I think we've got an early spring here happening. Maybe not weather-wise, actually weather-wise too, but definitely real estate-wise.
Yeah. So we went from 30% to 60% list to sale ratio in the last week. So maybe that's why I'm feeling it's fast. I don't know. Anyway, the price decreases are generally if the marketing's happening and you're not getting viewings or an offer, it's probably price. It's easy for me to say that. I know everybody, part of it is also timing. So the buyer has to be present. It looks like we're having a lot of activity. So that's a good thing. All right.
And I guess there's an underlying assumption. I just want to go back to that because sellers think if we only just do some more marketing, or if this is, what's the marketing happening here for the listings and how can we expose it to more people? And the assumption is if everything is being done, all reasonable things are being done to market the property and you're still not getting a sale, it's either a specialized property that is got a rarefied small pool of buyers for it, that you're waiting for that right buyer to come along. But more often the case, and most often the case, it's a segment of the market that is pretty common. Let's say it's a townhouse, regular built. It's just waiting for we're not waiting for the right buyer. The buyers are waiting for it to be the right price.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah. So often, so here's a good example. When you go out and you look at properties and there's 10, you book 10 and 10 are available, and you think some are overpriced, you just wait. That's what Andrew's saying. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Going back to that list. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. List to sale ratio that you were saying, that's a big change.
Yeah. It's well, I think it has to do with we're mid to end of the month. And so people are starting to really get going. And I think we had a very active fall. So I feel like it's kind of rolling over to January, whereas normally we had a pretty quiet mid-year last year, I felt.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
May was busy, and maybe from October on was busy, but otherwise it was pretty quiet. So I feel like
Mm-hmm.
everything shifted a bit.
Okay.
Okay. So in January 2025, last week, on the 20th, we had 188 unconditional sales. Those are offers that have been accepted and they've removed their conditions. And we're up to 307, and that's compared to 341 for January last year. And just remember, these are from last Monday, so we have 4 more to report. I think there'll be more. New listings were at 929 for January 2025, and this is compared to 960 from last year. So pretty much on par.
Again, though, that was on the 27th, so 4 more days that weren't recorded in this particular shot. So by the time, what was it, 300 listings for the month. So that's about 10 a day. 4 days, add another 40 to this. You probably do have on par with both.
Nice math there, buddy. Active listings were at 2,347, and that's compared to 2,140. Thank you, Erica, for liking that comment by Andrew. All right, Jen, what's happening?
What is happening? Yes. So we had Bank of Canada reduce the overnight lending rate yesterday, another 0.25%. What then happens next is the banks can and usually do reduce their prime rate by another 0.25 percentage point. So that's what does that mean? If you have a variable rate mortgage, your payment will drop by $15 per 100,000. Or pardon me, I'm going to change that. There's 2 types of variable rate mortgages. There's an adjustable rate and there's a variable rate. If you have an adjustable rate mortgage, your payment will drop by $15 per 100,000. If you have a variable rate mortgage, the amount that's applied to the principal increases. Your payment doesn't change.
Okay. Good
distinction. I shouldn't sign my mortgage papers yet.
Well, if we're going and looking at a variable rate, that is definitely a misconception. People get worried that, I'm signing up for a variable rate. You're going to get the additional benefits, right? So anytime rates drop, you are getting that benefit. And your rate and payment is set as of your closing date.
Okay, so what I've heard is there are two scenarios that may happen. One scenario with these tariffs coming in is the tariffs come in and it affects our inflation rate. And then as inflation goes up, we're going to see our interest rate go up because our dollar will decline in value, which it's already declining. And there'll be money, more people, they want to attract more money into Canada. So they're going to increase the Bank of Canada. They're going to increase interest rate. Okay, this made sense to me in my head. The prime rate, the overnight lending rate. And then, so that will cause fixed rates to rise, right?
Yes. So there's two different interest rate. Fixed rates are driven by the bond yields, which are driven by the U.S. Treasury market.
Right.
So, variable rates and adjustable rate mortgages are driven by the Bank of Canada, which sets the overnight lending rate. All of it is affected by our economy. And the biggest threat right now we have is this threat of tariffs, which creates uncertainty. Which way it'll go, we don't know. With Dominion Lending, which is the brokerage that I work for, we have a chief economist named Dr. Sherry Cooper, who I follow very often. I love what she has to say, and she has been right 16 out of the last 17 Bank of Canada rate announcements with how they're going to proceed. She is suggesting that we're going to have 2 additional rate cuts in the spring. So the next date that the Bank of Canada meets is March 12th. We're going to see another rate cut of 0.25%. And then they meet again in April, and we are expecting another 0.25% rate cut.
Is that even with the tariffs?
That the uncertainty around the tariffs, that does not take that into consideration.
So we're really going to know, because it's tomorrow, isn't it? Or
February 1st.
February 1st, so 2 days from now, that we will be really having a better understanding of whether or not tariffs are coming in, because that's the date that Trump has said he's going to be imposing those. So that's the date to watch. And so a lot of this is speculation at this point. We really wouldn't suggest anybody go out and make any changes unless you really, have your own strong feelings about what's going to happen here. We're not making any predictions. We're just kind of talking through what might happen depending on where things go.
Yeah. My suggestion, however, is I always like to know worst case scenario. So if you've got a mortgage coming up for renewal, perhaps in the next, 120 days, 4 months, why not secure something now, and then worst case scenario what you're looking at. We can always get rate decreases and continue to watch that market up until your closing date. But if you sit back and don't want to do anything, you don't know. Now you're dealing with total uncertainty.
So that's an interesting point. So I know with buyers looking to buy a home who don't yet have a mortgage, they can go get a rate lock, and they're protected, because if interest rates go down, they can always redo their rate lock and get a better rate. But if interest rates go up, they've already got the ceiling set because they've locked in. Now, is that something you can do too on renewal? So so this is really a key point that people should really hear here, is get out there early and get that rate lock on your renewal in case things actually go in the opposite direction that you were anticipating. So you're definitely insuring yourself in a really powerful way.
Well, Jen gets a weekly call from me. What do you think? What do you think? What do you think, Jen? What do you think?
And I love those calls. The 2 markets, and I'm just reading some of my notes from the last presentation from Dr. Sherry Cooper yesterday. The 2 markets that the tariffs could affect mostly is the energy and automotive. they're likely to be exempt from the tariffs. It's the primary metals, food and beverage, manufacturing, chemicals, machinery, and aerospace are the most vulnerable to the tariffs.
Well, I was just looking at the CBC news this morning, and they were saying the tariffs there's going to be 2 sets of tariffs. So one will be coming in February 1st, and the other one will be coming in the spring, I think in May. And they're also looking at things like milk products, the dairy industry. So
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's so the Global News put out an article the other day, and Phil Soper, who's the he's with Royal LePage, and also he's quoted quite often in the news as an industry leader and source of truth. So he says our supply chains are going to be critical in finding some alternative solutions to all of this. If there's a silver lining to the potential trade wars, Soper said it would force Canada to become more diversified for the longer term, which is a good thing. People should remember Canada is a G7 country, one of the largest and most dynamic economies on the planet, and we will adjust. So I just want to throw that in there, that there's sort of a positive voice in all this. But there is definitely talk of, if tariffs come in, one of the things that's going to really impact housing prices is going to be on new construction, because a lot of the materials that are coming back and forth, forestry products, appliances, metals, ceramics, hardware, these are all things that are going to be impacted by these tariffs.
So I'm just reading this more clearly now. So the first set of tariffs will be around the fentanyl crisis and the security. They're going to be looking at security at the border. And then the second part is going to be around food and beverage, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But yes. And also, anyway, I don't think it's looking good for anybody right now. But I guess what we learned in COVID was one day can change your life. So we can only work with what we know now. We know what the market's like now. It looks like it's hot. So if you want to sell, it is a good market right now. Right?
Most definitely.
Right.
Okay, that's the end of the show.
Markets. Markets are emotional, right? They think that even the stock market, lots of economists try to look at the stock market as what would a rational person do, but they've come to know that it's an emotional kind of psychotic. But shocks to the system cause fear, and then people get over it and come back. And every time I watch what's going on economy-wise, I'm definitely no great investor or knowledgeable person in this stuff, but it's been my observation that there's an immediate shock to the system. Everyone gets scared. They wait to see what happens. And in that gap, there's maybe some opportunity for people who are willing to take risk. And then things get back to business as usual once they get over the fact that, there wasn't really as big a shock as we thought it was. It's not all the doom and gloom that we expected. So
yes.
Keep calm and carry on, as Jane would say, and her forebears.
It's like the weather, right? Like I'm already, it might snow. It's going to snow. We're going to have blizzard 96 this weekend.
And you're going to hunker down in preparation for that, and then it's going to be a nice sunny day, and you're going to be like,
and then it's going to be beautiful, and I'm going to be walking my dog.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm going to be walking my dog regardless, but unfortunately.
This is not just real estate life advice, folks. This is life advice.
Yes.
Here's what I do. When COVID happened, I'm like, I'm going to hire someone to do some renovations on our house because everybody else will not be inviting people into their homes. It was outside renovations. They didn't have to come in anyway. And it was like, and they were like, thank you for the business. And so now with a little bit of uncertainty now, some people are canceling projects. So again, we are looking at working with a contractor and doing renovations on our house. So you have to think, what is everybody else doing and how can I do it just slightly differently to take advantage of the situation so it works for you?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Be strategic.
Okay.
All right. So, other than that, any other comments? I did get some information from the, from that report, but I just decided we're not going to go there today.
We won't go into the deep into the weeds. Great. Because we don't really know where things are going and it's hard to know for sure. All we can really say is, again, that there's some uncertainty and it's good to observe, but it's maybe not something that we should completely, alter our lives around, because as we've seen in the past, a lot of things get spoken about and don't come about. And when they do come about, the outcome was not maybe what we expected or anticipated. So,
yeah. Yes.
So go out and about
yes.
in the
out and about.
Out and about.
Go ahead, Jen. Sorry.
One other thing I'm wanting to learn more about, I am not an economist by any means, but it is our dollar. I'm trying to understand and learn the effect on our dollar and why our dollar is dropping so much. So stay tuned. I will see what I can provide more information on that.
So part of it is our dollar in relation to the US dollar.
Mm-hmm.
And then our dollar in relation to other currencies around the world. And from what I read yesterday, our dollar is down from the US dollar. The US dollar is up. But the Canadian dollar is relative to all the other currencies. So I think it's just specific.
That's true. Yes. And we just notice it more because we're so close to the US.
Well, we're trading, although a lot of countries trade directly, trade with the US, and the US dollar is, the gold standard for trade. Although there's challenges to that as well. With the BRIC countries trying to, there's concerns around that.
Yeah. Another comment that was made by our chief economist is that with Trump threatening these tariffs, what he's wanting to do is renegotiate our fair trade agreement with Canada, the US, and Mexico.
Which is supposed to come up for renewal in 2026 anyway.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. I think with our economies tied so closely and our proximity to each other and our big porous border, which, yes, there are concerns. There's also benefits to having a porous border, and those are trade benefits generally. And also the fact that, we are cousins in a sense where we're very similar. There's differences culturally, absolutely, but we also have a lot more similarities. But if the country next to us takes a position of being so protectionist and, our country first, that it causes all the other countries in the world to find other ways and means. And that's the risk that they take, I think. And they're willing to take that risk because they don't believe people will call their bluff. But
Yes.
But I do feel like that is a risk that could happen, because you hear enough like, well, we don't need you, we don't want you, and you're taking advantage of us, and we're going to incorporate you into you're going to become a state, and so is Greenland, and we're going to take over this and that and the other. It's like, well, we don't really want to play that game. Let's go do business with other places.
So the other day on Fox News, the Premier of Ontario was being interviewed, and basically the interviewer from Fox News, which is not a news network, it is an opinion network, they said, what do you mean you don't want to become part of the United States? Everybody wants to be a part of the United States. I'm insulted. That's so insulting. And I'm like, what do you get? Like, why would you go on a news show or a show like that when somebody is just so blatantly got an opinion of
in their own world?
They're in their own world, and anyway, I just want to say
Well, this is the thing we all have to watch is what bubble are we watching from?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And
sorry guys, but my internet seems to be running a little bit off kilter. So I'm sorry if I interrupted.
That's okay. We're used to it.
Okay. So where do we wrap up this show, guys? I think that this has gone way off the rails. We just lost Jane.
Sorry. Okay. Oh, all right. So,
I want to say thank you to all the people who, come in every week despite the chaos and craziness that sometimes ensues. Maybe it's because of.
You know what? If you guys have a topic that you want us to discuss, I'm thinking of a few. We've been brainstorming in behind the scenes. Obviously, we're going to do updates on what's happening with the monetary policy. But I was thinking if we could get our chief economist for BC Real Estate Association back, we could talk about downsizing. We can talk about transitioning from one home to another. Other topics that may be of interest, please message us because we'd love to create a show that works for you, right? Wouldn't you guys say?
You bet.
Yeah, tell us why you tune in, what you're interested in, what is it that you want to see more of, what would you like to see less of, how can we tune this to your needs?
Yeah, and we're here every Thursday at 9:30. So Andrew, how about you take us away and let's tune out here today.
Okay, so thanks everyone for watching and listening. I'm Andrew Plank. I'm with the Vibe Collective at Royal LePage. You can reach me at 250-360-6106 or email me direct info@andrewplank.com.
And Jen?
I am at 250-217-4925. I'm with Modern Mortgage Group. Email is jen@jenlow.ca and my website is jenlow.ca.
And my name is Jane Johnston. My number is 250-744-0775. My email is briarhillgroup@gmail.com. You can visit me and Sean at briarhillgroup.com. And you can watch these shows and more at the victoriarealestateshow.com. And don't forget to follow us at Instagram, realty teacher _remax_Victoria or Briar Hill Group. All right, you guys, so we're going to be live next Thursday. We're going to go over all the stats for January so you can see the whole meal deal if you want to find out what's going on in real estate in Victoria. Take care, everybody. Have a great day. And Andrew, condolences and send our love to Kim. Okay.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Yeah.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.